plan. Trevor has kind of talked about that. We've discussed several things. And talked about our goals that we've met, some that we're working on, working towards. So that's coming before you tonight. Any questions on that? The county garage addition funding request is, there is a one pager that is in your packet that is just on that. The county is considering a 3-bay addition there, and Jessica, was it the finance committee who made the request? Facilities committee made the request for the board to consider funding a 3rd bay, which the amount is listed in there at around 250,000. Was it 250? $220,000 to add that 3rd bay. So
it's approximately. We've bid it out twice, and we're now currently bidding it out a 3rd time. So we bid it out with a 3-bay with a 1-bay deduct optional. So that gives us the price of 2 bays, and then what the 3rd bay is.
Tom?
yes, sir.
Yeah, as I understand it, the amount that we're talking about is more of an informed opinion from somebody who's probably going to be bidding on it. We don't actually have the bids in yet.
No, bids open next Friday on the 13th. So hopefully that luck will be in our favor at 11 a.m. So at that time, I'll be able to, I have it on the budget committee, and the facilities will actually be meeting prior to budget committee on the 17th of February. So that way they'll know, because with the estimation that we did receive prior to any of the bid openings, who knows what the bids will come in as. They're sealed closed bids. So the county will have to put up additional funding to even get to the 2-bay that they have at this point.
So you mentioned, and it seemed to be at the joint meeting, that time is of the essence. Can you explain why that might, why we're probably going to be bringing it up tonight, why time is so much of the essence?
Sure. So when we open bids, bids are normally good for 30 days only. We're opening it up on February 13th on a Friday. Budget committee, facilities, the budget committee, and the county commission meet on Tuesday the 17th. So if we were to put it off until March's meeting at that point, we would be past our, we can say we have 60 days to award a bid, but the companies that are putting in these bids are normally 30-day quotes. So the quote that I received and informed facilities of could have changed very well, because my understanding still has already increased from December. So at this point, I'm not sure what the bids will even come in as, but that's where the timing, if we were to wait till March when you all meet again, it would be past the 30-day time frame.
So you said the bid has already been put out twice, we're putting another 3rd time?
Yeah, it was originally bid out September of 2024. And it came in over the county's budget at that point. We bid it back out the following year. It came in well above the county's budget. And then they tasked us with getting quotes again. This is like the project that will never begin or end all at once. So they tasked us to get quotes. We received a solid quote from a company that has the capabilities of putting the bid in. Whether they do or not, that's their choice. But the quotes that I received in December, I presented to facilities in January. And now we're in February, opening bids. So.
We're not gonna vote on a amount without a bid, are we, without a price? You said $220,000 is what the commission's asking for us to
So this hasn't even gone really before
The
budget
budget, the
committee or
finance
county
committee.
commission, it's facilities committee. So if we were to wait till the bid opens, then we would have to wait until you all have a voting session in March. And at that point, we would be past our,
I'm not in favor of voting on something without a price. I feel like that we did it on the Jefferson Grammar School. We had a price flipped out, and everybody you talk to, it's gonna be more.
I think the consideration is, the thought is if the school board would consider, putting up to a certain amount, and that's as much as, and if, let's say we weren't able to award the bid at all, the funding wouldn't even be used, it would stay at the school board level. If we needed just a portion of it to add that third bay, then we would have that capability and ability in my office to transfer those funds.
Something to think about is, there is a, we partnership with the county. So going back to how we got to our buses being serviced at Fleet Maintenance, you know, that's a longer story. There was an issue with, you remember an inmate stole a car, and there was some people under investigation that were suspended. Next thing you know, we don't have any mechanics. We use the outside service. That's very expensive. So at the time, the county was in need of some IT support. So we provided, the school system provided the county, with the exception of the sheriff's office, with IT support, and the county allowed Fleet Maintenance to service the buses and school vehicles. So we currently pay, we swap money kind of for that, and then we have 4 employees at the Fleet Maintenance. I'm not sure if they're all filled. I think they are.
I think 3's filled,
3?
there might be one opening.
I can't remember. It fluctuates a little bit, but we have 4 positions there that the school system pays. So we pay our own way, and we just use that facility. It would greatly benefit, you know, there's some things here. I personally recommend that, you know, you set an amount towards a 3-bay addition. I have been asked for the board to consider setting an amount towards the addition, whether the county does 3 bays or 2 bays. The school system still helps support the addition. That's totally up to you all. Yes, sir.
So, when we have buses that need to be serviced or worked on, they go up to this garage. How many bays existing are there right now?
2.
3.
The only one, school buses
Yeah,
can
there's
be
1
serviced
bay
in.
for buses.
But there's only 1 for buses. And if that's being used, then our bus has to sit there and wait until
No.
it empties.
There's one.
I very seldom is something in there. They have a few large vehicles that go in there, but they're not a priority vehicle. So we also have sub buses, but if we need a bus, they're gonna pull it in there and they're gonna fix it, if we need the bus. So it's not gonna, our bus not gonna sit and wait. But we also have multiple buses sometimes at one time, so.
That was gonna be my other question.
Yeah,
I'm sure
Danny
it's
will
not
tell
just
you.
1 bus sitting
Yeah,
there. I'm
Danny
sure
will tell you the problem of having something tore apart, having to move it, and then, having to put it, you know.
Which part?
I can tell you right
Well,
now,
and
if
that's
Ron and
kind of
if we ever got something tore apart and we had to move it and then bring it back and put it back together, it probably ain't gonna happen. So, it's just about that efficiency, you know, for that to happen. So,
And it sounds like if we don't, that they're not gonna have enough money to bid on a 3-bay anyway, to be down to just the 2 bays. Am I correct?
I never know what the committees will vote for, but at this point, that's the
That's kinda
direction
what it
of
sounds like.
facilities had given us. That they would potentially propose for the 2-bay funding if the school would, consider putting funding towards the 3rd bay.
What if it,
Um,
I'm sorry,
No, go ahead, go ahead.
what if it comes down to, funding if they cannot afford the full 2 bays? Can our money go to help that 2nd bay instead of a 3rd bay?
Depends
We'll
on
take
how,
the money.
it depends on how you make your motion. If you make your motion to put money towards a 3rd bay, then they've gotta do a 3-bay system for us to give money. If you make a motion that we're gonna give so much money towards the project, then if they change the light bulb, we'll give them so much money. You know, I mean, if they do it 1 bay, 2 bay, or 3 bay, we'll help them out.
I got a question on so do we need to put, if this was to happen, or do we need to put this into a different account, or do we just need to say, take it out of fund balance or whatever, or?
So your motion, I spoke with Mr. Ibbotson on, cause he was asking the same questions. If you all decide to make a motion at all, you could potentially just say, out of general fund balance, we would like to give up to a certain dollar amount. And at that point, I would wait and see where the bids came from, because I would be putting together a budget amendment. And whether, if the bids came in where we wouldn't be able to use that money, if it, let's say the bids come in at $2 million, I mean, at that point, your funding's not even gonna help us get anything hardly, so we wouldn't use it. So technically, accounting wise, I would move it to a reserve. It would sit in your general fund balance until if and when it would be needed. If it's not needed, we can move it out of the reserve back to your fund balance.
Yeah, just to speak to this, being that I was at that joint meeting, I went up to the garage. What they have right now is they have 3 bays. 2 of them, the openings are not big enough to put a bus in. They only have 1 bay. The number one, the opening is big enough to get a bus in, and the ceiling is high enough to lift the bus up on the lifts. I spoke to, excuse me, the manager wasn't there, but I spoke to one of the mechanics, and he said that the problem is that they've got a bus in there that has major, like it has to have an engine replaced, a transmission disassembled and put back together. That kills that bay for any of the other buses that need any kind of work. And if the weather is, you know, not good like today, they have to somehow get a creeper, get under a bus outside, you know, if it's undercarriage work. I mean, if it's a headlight or something, that's a whole different thing. But they said, you know, once something, like Dr. Arnold said, once something's disassembled, you cannot really put it back together, put it down and get it off there to get the other buses on there. So, the proposal, from what I understand, from what I got from the joint meeting, was that all 3 bays would have the capacity. That doesn't mean they would always be used for it, but the capacity to accommodate buses. So they would be equipped with both bus-capable hydraulics and regular car-capable hydraulics. So that if that 1 bay is taken up with a de facto a dead bus, you know, they can either take any one of the other 3 bays and put 1 or 2 buses in there and work on that while they're waiting to get the other one, you know, taken care of.
I'm not against the bays, I'm for it 100%. set a price not to exceed that amount, let's go for it.
Thank you.
Austin, you got anything you wanna put since you're a county commissioner?
I'm a member of the facilities committee. I'll round the numbers up, which I guess maybe the numbers have changed a little bit from our facilities meeting.
It was just a quote.
Okay.
Yeah, back in
So-
December, so.
So we have two proposals, a 2-bay and a 3-bay, $675,000 for the 2-bay, $893,000 for the 3-bay. We have $558,468 in an account to spend on this garage. So we went ahead as a committee, this is not the commission, just the committee. We went ahead and said we would go ahead and allocate an additional, we would recommend allocation of an additional $118,000 to get a 2-bay. However, that does not really give us what we need for growth. That's something that has happened in the past in this county. We need to plan for growth. So we are asking for the additional $220,000 to go ahead and go for the 3-bay addition. I've spoken with Dr. Arnold about this issue with the garage. He's explained why we are where we are. I spent about 2.5 hours with Dwayne at the county garage, and while I was there, one of the big things that happens in that garage is all of the state inspections with the buses. I think it's a lot, and they need a space to do that. So they only have one bay that they can put school buses in currently. So I think this is desperately needed, and just for the future growth of our county, I would politely ask that you approve this tonight, and as Mr. Jarnigan said, an amount not to exceed. And if things fall apart with our bidding, then there's nothing we can do about that tonight. But I would respectfully ask that you fund this. This comes out to about 25% that we're asking for the 3-bay. So, does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you. Anything else on
Did you have
No,
something?
I'm done with the garage.
All right, moving on, within some other votes, there's some surplus items in there. Let me find my spot. Surplus items in there, just some things that technology surplus. Huh? Does she have that? Is it in here?
I think we sent it to her. I believe so.
Let me confirm. Where we were gonna hand carry something, make sure, it's in here. So in your packet, it says that, on the business session, it says, under technology surplus, we'll hand carry the meeting. It is in your packet. Since the meeting got delayed, we were able to get it in there. So it's all in there. And then also, before we move into something that's not on here, I wanted to just bring up, in the policy committee meeting, we talked about a proposed policy manual review. I'll let Mr. Ibbotson speak on that.
We voted to authorize TSBA to do a policy manual review. What we have, I've got a printout here that I gave to the policy committee. And what it shows how many actual policies we presently have, how many have not been reviewed since 1996. Josh. And on here, we have a total in our policy manual of 339 policies. The total policies that have not been reviewed since prior to 2020 are 140, so that's about a third. So 42% have not been revised. Now, they may have been reviewed, but we don't keep records on when we actually review them. We only keep records on when we revise them. And the breakdown is as follows. On the non-revised policy, section 1, which deals with school board operations, has 57 total policies, and of those, 35 are non-revised since September 12th, 1996. So that's 30 years. Section 2, fiscal management. We have a total of 30 policies in there. Of those, 22 have not been revised since 9/12/96. Again, I told the policy guy, I don't know what the magic number was, 9/12/96. Maybe that's when we put the policy manual together. I have no idea. Everything, there is nothing earlier than that even in our policy committee. So that means, for example, in section 2, 22 policies have not been revised since we put the policy manual together. Section 3, support services. We have a total of 26 policies. Of those, 18 have not been revised since 9/12/96. Section 4, instructional program, we have 50 policies. 20 have not been revised since 96. Section 5, 65 policies. 17 of those have not been revised. And section 6, we have 111 policies. That's student. Of those, 28 have not been revised since 96, for a total, as I said up at the top, of 140. I don't feel that this is something that we as a board, are equipped to do, because we don't know all the legislation, we don't know all the changes that have happened over the last 30 years, nor do we know which of these policies have been reviewed and just left the same, because if it works, why fix it? But TSBA does. They have records of all this stuff. So we contacted Jennifer White, who is the policy person at TSBA, and she sent, asking her about doing something like this, and she got back to me by phone and said they do about 3 of these a year for different districts. This last year they did one for a county in West Tennessee. They did one for a special district in Middle Tennessee, and one other one that I don't remember. So she said this is not unusual to do. And she said to do a comprehensive policy manual review would be $12,500, but of that, all right, $4,250 would be what we're already paying them for a regular, just to have them review policies that we put in place here. So that's not extra. That's something we would be paying them anyway. So the total amount to review our entire policy, make suggestions, and get it up to date as of this year would be $8,250. All right, and that's I did how many policies need to be reviewed and possibly revised. We got the price, and now I'll turn it over to Tommy, because he then talked to her about how this could be paid out and when it would be done.
Yeah. So, as you know, the state legislation's in session right now, so, TSBA is real busy on the Hill, tracking legislation, those type of things. So, it would easily be able to be pushed until July 1 in the new budget. We can appropriate funds within the new budget for this, and they usually, once they sign the contract to do it, they issue you an invoice for half the amount up front, and then the remaining amount at the end of the service. And this service would go on, it's a loan, over the course of the year, basically, and they'll send us updated versions, like Mr. Ibbotson said, on a regular basis, so that you don't get it all at one time.
And these would just be suggestions. The fact that they say this policy should be done, we have to do it that way, it would be suggested, and then the policy committee would determine whether we want to bring it to the board and treat it as a new amended policy. So we're thinking, you know, since there's, you know, 6 sections in our policy manual, probably about a month, month and a half for each one. We'll be getting feedback from them. When we have our policy meetings, we look at those, determine which ones we're going to bring to the board, and then have the board vote on. But I think it's needed. I think it would get everything updated. I think it's cheap, and I think the people who have the information would actually be doing it. So I will be asking to put that on our agenda tonight for our business meeting.
What's your recommendation, Tom? What's your thought? Yes or no?
I believe it is, we talked a little bit about, you know, policy committee members or, you know, within their first few years, it will give them a good feeling of where we're at with our policies, help for a general review that's systematic over time, and know that we are in compliance or what needs to be modified. So we did this a few years back with our student handbooks, so that Maury was in, you know, the same thing that happened at Maury happens at Jefferson, happens at Rush Strong for middle school students, and that our high school manual was in compliance with state law. We did find some things along the way that were not in compliance, and it just helped to make that adjustment. It's not a ton of money whenever you look at the number of policies, the amount of time they have to put into it. You know, I think they are making their money back from the time they put in, but they're not making money on this. They're providing this service to us.
Any other questions on
I just want to say that, you know, we appreciate the board as it's kind of board appreciation time, and have a few gifts for you. There were some more things. We've not been in session that we would have brought, but we just appreciate everything you do, and thank you for your time serving on the board. That's all I got.
Take CTE, maybe?
CTE made those? Yes. Mm-hmm.
These are awesome. Tell them thank you very much. We love
Coach
it.
Bradley.
All right, so that brings us then to, on the work session, the school commissioner items for discussion. Is there any?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm gonna ask to put the policy in and review of the new business. I'm also going to ask to put the communications coordinator that we discussed last month under unfinished business, so we can discuss and vote on that procedure.
All right. Anything else from you? Yes, Paul.
We haven't talked about the retreat at all. It's coming up.
Yeah.
And just a couple of things. Reach out to you about just the location, maybe possible food and beverage, but I was looking in our policy manual, and it has a school board evaluation policy in there where we evaluate ourselves, and it's 1.103. Didn't know if that was something that maybe we wanted to maybe be looking at to do at that time.
See what that.
And I don't know what all that consists of. I didn't see
Yeah.
a template or anything like that.
Yeah, I think we could definitely, I mean, right now, we've got the, let's see, Tommy's gonna review some things on budget next year. I think we have the, what was the
efficiency study.
Yeah, the efficiency study. I think we've got.
Capital updates.
Capital updates. We got Patriot Academy supposed to be, and
Yeah.
Rhonda, she's not here, but she's supposed to be taking care of
Yeah.
food and all that good stuff, so that's definitely
So right now, we're looking at 8 to 12, roughly. Rhonda and I have talked, some, so she's gonna send it out. I've lost, it is the 20,
Seventh, I think.
21st.
Twenty-first?
Yeah,
get to my,
next,
Yes, the week after.
couple Saturdays from now.
The week after.
yeah,
February 23rd.
21st. It is a Saturday, Patriot Academy. So Rhonda will send that out. So we have the date, but the time's looking 8 to 12-ish, and we'll send an agenda. And then if you, of course, you know, there'll be some time in there if you wanted to add something to it. Make sure you let us know, and we'll send that in. I can talk to TSBA and see if they have some sort of criteria general that they use for boards to evaluate. I'll do that.
So we are definitely talking to February 21st.
Third.
21st.
2-1.
Yeah, that was put
2/21.
on that calendar that we approved.
That would be great for me.
That Saturday morning.
Well, see, they have that run-a-thon down at a restaurant, and I don't have ball games on that Saturday.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay.
And-
That's why we said it.
That's why we have to do that.
Yeah.
And then we
Big
usually each person brings something.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of everything, so.
Anything else? All right, well, then that takes us down to then the adjournment, so we're gonna take it's been requested to have a little bit of a break in between here, so we'll do 10 minutes here and we'll come back and we'll get on